Funny, inspirational and motivational quotes on life, love and more. Quotes on power politics. Politics is the art of looking for trouble, finding it, misdiagnosing it, and then misapplying the wrong remedies. Karl Marx. He who seeks equality amongst unequals seeks the absurd. Spinoza. Aaron had a wise saying, "In politics, you can recover from anything except looking like a fool." Guillermo Prieto. The art of leadership is saying no, not saying yes. It is very easy to say yes. Tony Blair. There is a thin line between politics and theatricals. Julian Bond. Politics is the art of postponing decisions until they are no longer relevant. Henry Quayle. When you give food to the poor, they call you a saint. When you ask why the poor have no food, they call you a communist. Archbishop Helder Camara. A politician needs the ability to foretell what is going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, and next year, and to have the ability afterwards to explain why it didn't happen. Winston Churchill. Everything is changing. People are taking their comedians seriously and the politicians as a joke. Will Rogers. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and media respectable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind. George Orwell. 90% of the politicians give the other 10% a bad reputation. Henry Kissinger. The most successful politician is he who says what the people are thinking most often in the loudest voice. Theodore Roosevelt. Bad politicians are sent to Washington by good people who don't vote. William E. Simon. The magician and the politician have much in common. They both have to draw our attention away from what they are really doing. Ben Okri. My choice early in life was either to be a piano player in a house or a politician. And to tell the truth, there's hardly any difference. Harry S. Truman. The ability to change one's views without losing one's seat is the mark of a great politician. Maurice K. Udall. It is hard to imagine a more stupid or more dangerous way of making decisions than by putting those decisions in the hands of people who pay no price for being wrong. Thomas Sowell. Politicians never accuse you of greed, for wanting other people's money, only for wanting to keep your own money. Joseph Sobran. For a politician to complain about the press is like a ship's captain complaining about the sea. Enoch Powell. Talkers are usually more articulate than doers, since talk is their specialty. Thomas Sowell. There exists no politician in India daring enough to attempt to explain to the masses that cows can be eaten. Indira Gandhi. He knows nothing. He thinks he knows everything. That clearly points to a political career. George Bernard Shaw. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. The lie can be maintained only for such time as the state can shield the people from the political, economic and/or military consequences of the lie. It thus becomes vitally important for the state to use all of its powers to repress dissent, for the truth is the mortal enemy of the lie, and thus by extension, the truth is the greatest enemy of the state. Joseph Goebbels. The first panacea for a mismanaged nation is inflation of the currency. The second is war. Both bring a temporary prosperity, both bring a permanent ruin, but both are the refuge of political and economic opportunists. Ernest Hemingway. The best political weapon is the weapon of terror. Cruelty commands respect. Men may hate us, but we don't ask for their love, only for their fear. Heinrich Himmler. Political correctness does not legislate tolerance, it only organizes hatred. Jacques Bazoun. History suggests that capitalism is a necessary condition for political freedom. Milton Friedman. Political power grows out of the barrel of a gun. Mao Zedong. There is no maxim, in my opinion, which is more liable to be misapplied, and which, therefore, needs more elucidation than the current one, that the interest of the majority is the political standard of right and wrong. James Madison. Reader, suppose you were an idiot, and suppose you were a member of Congress. But I repeat myself. Mark Twain. Never believe anything in politics until it has been officially denied. Otto von Bismarck. Every decent man is ashamed of the government he lives under. Henry Louis Mencken. Man will never be free until the last king is strangled with the entrails of the last priest. Dennis Diderot. People never lie so much as after a hunt, during a war or before an election. Otto von Bismarck. A statesman is a successful politician who is dead. Thomas Brackett Reed. You campaign in poetry, you govern in prose. Mario Cuomo. The poor object to being governed badly, while the rich object to being governed at all. G.K. Chesterton, illegal aliens have always been a problem in the United States. Ask any Indian. Robert Orban, my concern is not whether God is on our side. My greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. Abraham Lincoln, the last thing I ever wanted was to be alive when the three most powerful people on the whole planet would be named Bush, Dick and Colin. Kurt Vonnegut, politics is the art of looking for trouble, finding it everywhere, diagnosing it incorrectly and applying the wrong remedies. Karl Marx, all war is a symptom of man's failure as a thinking animal. John Steinbeck, the smallest minority on earth is the individual. Those who deny individual rights cannot claim to be defenders of minorities. Ayn Rand, I'm completely in favor of the separation of church and state. These two institutions screw us up enough on their own, so both of them together is certain death. George Carlin, in politics, stupidity is not a handicap. Napoleon Bonaparte, the first duty of a man is to think for himself. Jose Marti, the only difference between Hitler and Bush is that Hitler was elected. Kurt Vonnegut, government exists to protect us from each other. Where the government has gone beyond its limits is in deciding to protect us from ourselves. Ronald Reagan, too bad that all the people who know how to run the country are busy driving taxicabs and cutting hair. George Burns, the rights of every man are diminished when the rights of one man are threatened. John F. Kennedy, the oppressed are allowed once every few years to decide which particular representatives of the oppressing class are to represent and repress them. Karl Marx, a nation of sheep will beget a government of wolves. Edward Armo, absolute power does not corrupt absolutely, absolute power attracts the corruptible. Frank Herbert, an appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile, hoping it will eat him last. Winston S. Churchill, you show me a capitalist, and I'll show you a bloodsucker. Malcolm X, if you want to rebel, rebel from inside the system. That's much more powerful than rebelling outside the system. Marie Lu, if our founding fathers wanted us to care about the rest of the world, they wouldn't have declared their independence from it. Stephen Colbert, if an injury has to be done to a man, it should be so severe that his vengeance need not be feared. Niccolo Machiavelli, as government expands liberty contracts. Ronald Reagan, bad men need nothing more to compass their ends than that good men should look on and do nothing. John Stuart Mill, politics, it seems to me, for years, or all too long, has been concerned with right or left instead of right or wrong. Richard Armour, politicians and IPers should be changed frequently, and all for the same reason. Jose Maria de Isa de Queiroz, we live in a world in which politics has replaced philosophy. Martin L. Gross, there are many men of principle in both parties in America, but there is no party of principle. Alexis de Tocqueville, we'd all like to vote for the best man, but he's never a candidate. Kin Hubbard, in order to become the master, the politician poses as the servant. Charles de Gaulle, those who are too smart to engage in politics are punished by being governed by those who are dumber. Plato, politicians are the same all over. They promise to build a bridge even where there is no river. Nikita Khrushchev, when I was a boy, I was told that anybody could become president. I'm beginning to believe it. Clarence Darrow, truth is not determined by majority vote. Doug Gwynn, we have, I fear, confused power with greatness. Stuart Udall, a conservative is a man who believes that nothing should be done for the first time. Alfred E. Wiggum, don't vote, it only encourages them. Billy Connolly, any American who is prepared to run for president should automatically, by definition, be disqualified from ever doing so. Gore Vidal, politics is the gentle art of getting votes from the poor and campaign funds from the rich by promising to protect each from the other. Oscar Ameringa, members of Congress should be compelled to wear uniforms like NASCAR drivers, so we could identify their corporate sponsors. Caroline Baum, some men change their party for the sake of their principles, others their principles for the sake of their party. Winston Churchill, the most intense hatreds are not between political parties but within them. Philip Adams, nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Abraham Lincoln, when we are sick, we want an uncommon doctor. When we have a construction job to do, we want an uncommon engineer. And when we are at war, we want an uncommon general. It is only when we get into politics that we are satisfied with the common man. Herbert Hoover, in war, you can only be killed once, but in politics, many times. Winston Churchill,